Hello, welcome. Clarity Hotline. All right, so let's get started. And let me clean my screen. All right. Welcome, everyone, Instagram and YouTube for the Clarity Hotline. Let's get started. We are taking some questions today. Today's going to be a little bit unusual because one, I'm starting late because I came from my son's graduation from preschool. Are we calling it graduations or promotions? So he's graduating from preschool and moving into kinder. And there are so many things that come with having a 5-year-old that are really fun, really exciting, and also really, really interesting. I think there's a lot of acknowledgement. Hi. Thanks for coming on. A lot of acknowledging like just their growth and their natural their natural tendencies and like their personalities coming out even more so. And what I find myself kind of dealing with is what teachers will say, and then what do I think about that? What do I think if there's some trouble at school and they're sending home a note or some type of like, oh, this happened today? And I just realized today, because I'm hearing the song that they're singing in the graduation, and I'm hearing the lyrics, and one of the lyrics was Fat Cat. And so my son likes to call people funny names. I think because he gets it from his mom and dad, because we call them funny names, but nice names. We don't say fat or anything like that. Nothing like that. Just funny nicknames. And and so we got sent home that he had called somebody that or some version of that or something. But literally the lyrics in the song are the words he used. And so here I'm recognizing that, well, maybe he was thinking it was just something fun to say because it's in the song and they're learning this song. It was strange to hear them singing the song and hear and reflecting back on the note that came home with him. And it's like, well, geez, I was wondering where he got those words, and it's literally in the song they're teaching him. So I wanted to, what that taught me was, let's not jump to conclusions, right? Our job as parents are not to just like completely be up in arms when there's something that comes home as far as like, oh, this report about your kid's behavior. It's to ask questions of the teacher. Like, well, what happened before that? What happened after that? What happened during that? Who was around? Was there peer pressure to say those things? Was he under duress? Was he thinking that he was being playful and he didn't realize he'd get that reaction? And is there a conversation with him around like, hey, ooh, I know you're being playful, but that actually hurts somebody's feelings. And then there's like a lesson. And then that's what we need to be doing, right? It's in the moment. And I know as the kids get older and into schools where there's more students to teacher ratio, it's going to be harder to take that time to recognize that. But I think this is where we come in, parents, and we ask the questions. Well, what happened before that? And how do you feel about, what happened as a result of you saying those words? What was your intention when you said those words? So I think, asking questions and being curious first and foremost is important. And, it was a fun song, and my boy is a fun boy. He's playful. He loves to make people laugh. And I think that's all that's all that was. And I think I just wanted to invite us parents to ask more questions. Ask questions of the teacher, understand the circumstances around it, because every moment, especially in these young, impressionable minds, I think, geez, up to the time they're out of your house is a moment to still ask questions and ponder with them cause and effect, right? Because if we immediately shame them around something that they know nothing about, it's so, one, inappropriate, two, unfair, because they don't have the lessons we've learned all these years. They're coming brand new into a situation, not really knowing, oh, I didn't realize that that was going to happen. And maybe sometimes they are. And then it's a different conversation. If they know they're being mean and they're doing it intentionally, then it's, then the curiosity has to be around, well, why do you want to be mean? Was your goal? Help them understand that when they're feeling some kind of way, how, what could be another response? Do they have to behave in that way? Do they have to say those things? For us, a big one is, let's not hit your brother. Let's not hit your brother just because he's upsetting you, getting you frustrated, because they like to do that. They like to pick and tell on each other and all this stuff. It's like, and they get so worked up, I think, at what they think they'll get in trouble about. And that makes them frustrated with the sibling. And I think that causes a lot of sibling rivalry. One, our reaction as parents. Two, their intention behind it. One, our reaction as parents, because they think they got to react the same way when we react a certain way to, being told something happened, then they got to match that level of intensity when it happens again to them, right? And so we're breeding in them this reactive nature when we're not coming to the situation with more poise and calm and curiosity, wanting to understand, then, and maybe taking a breath, taking a pause. If we're not showing that type of behavior, then of course we're not going to be teaching them that type of behavior. It's not, do as I say, it's do as I do. They are mimicking behavior unconsciously because what they do is match vibration. They resonate with vibration, right? Because when they came out of the womb, they only knew energy, sensation, vibration. They only knew that. They didn't know words. Eventually they understand sounds and what sounds mean, but it's only like what the heart speaks. And that's why, golden hour after delivery is so important. Baby on mommy's chest. That's so important because that gets the rhythm of the heartbeat. That teaches like, oh my gosh, you are welcome here. We love you. And imagine right from there, continuing that level of reciprocity and vibration. That's still going on. So just recognize the energy you bring into a situation, especially when it comes to discipline, whenever it comes to maybe course correcting in your eyes. It's always going to be your perspective of what you think is correcting a situation. It's never going to be an absolute truth because your truth is different than my truth. What I believe is proper behavior is different from what you believe proper behavior is. And such is life. And so we've got to understand, right? Like everybody's reaction in class is not anything to change everything about. And, parents understanding that, teachers having a conversation with parents about that, understanding that, this tends to be the temperament of my child, but not with any type of like judgment, but more so helping that teacher manage the classroom. Because when that teacher understands what you understand all these years being with your child, and you get to introduce that to the teacher, here's what I understand about my son, and good kid, funny kid, loves to play. And so what we've been working on is there's a time for work, there's a time for play. There are words that hurt and words that are kind. We want to use kind words. And so those kinds of things, see how I'm framing it to a teacher so that they understand that I recognize the difference. I recognize the difference, and I'm actively teaching my child the difference from my perspective. And so knowing that the parent is in on this too, I think teachers have a better time teaching the kids. And that's what I want. I want my kids, as my oldest is going into kindergarten, I want him to have a pleasant experience in public education. and before I have to bring him home for homeschool because it's just not working out. I really don't want to experience that, but it is an option for me bringing him home to homeschool if the school system is just not working out. And that is, I believe, it's definitely a big concern of mine. It's a worry that I have, that I need to let go and think better thoughts about the school system and have higher hopes for the teacher that he gets and the principal and all the staff and just the experiences that he gets. And just like anybody else, his classmates, just like any other parent would also wish the same for their kids, to have pleasant experiences and go and learn and enjoy and have fun and really honestly learn to love learning. I think that's what school's all about. That's what this time of being in school education is, to learn to love to learn. That is what they're discovering, I think. And the more pleasant we can make this situation, the better for everybody. Okay, let me get off my platform there and let me take a breath, because I'm coming in from being at my son's promotion out of preschool into kindergarten. So I also want to take a breath. So let's take a big breath in and a big breath out. Do it as many times as you need to literally feel the cleansing in your body, bringing in clean, fresh air, just like in feng shui, bringing the flow of fresh air in and cleansing the space. That's exactly what we want to do with the breath. We're intentionally bringing the breath in, cleansing the space, breathing out the bad, toxic tension, thoughts that are keeping us stuck. We're moving some things around. That's why even moving the body also is good for that too. So hopefully we can be here now, be present. We've got some questions pre-submitted. One from Darcy: do you believe in soulmates? The second one, Meredith: what books are you reading right now and do you recommend them? Or which do you recommend? I'm assuming she's asking. Because I tend to, let's just jump right in. Well, no. Let's not. But I will say this before I get into that question, that I have several books I read at a time. Anybody else like that? Like several books I read at a time. I've got some on my Kindle, some in paperback, some on my Libby app, my library app. And I'm just constantly going into whatever one I feel at the time. And most are nonfiction. Some are fiction, because, you need a little fiction time here and there, just storytelling, sometimes to get out of your head. I love to listen to stories, and same for autobiographies and biographies for the same reason, like hearing stories and seeing what people have come through. It's the cultural anthropologist in me. No, I didn't study that, but I love the idea of studying that. Okay, so I do want to acknowledge Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth. Today, actually, let me just read some notes on it. So today is a holiday celebrated by the community at large, really, this United States of America, because in 1862, President Lincoln signed the Declaration Proclamation or Emancipation Proclamation, excuse me, and that freed the slaves, right? Well, slaves weren't absolutely free in the southern states so that was after the Civil War, until 1865, when the Union had to come in and actively free the slaves, especially in states like Texas. And so that's why in 1865, June 19th, when General Gordon Granger announced that the slaves in Texas were free by order of the President of the United States, and that is the day that we celebrate as being ultimately free. And do I love this as a holiday? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad this is a federal holiday. I know for a long time it was a push to be one. And now it is. There is a Juneteenth flag. What is the reality is how long it took for this declaration, this proclamation, to be signed by the President of the United States, and it to take a while for it to actually be enacted and honored and respected and enforced by all the states. And that's the harsh reality, right, of politics, of groupthink, of what people, of people's ideals, right? It's like, it's not what you say, it's what I think. And that's across the board. And so whoever was in on the North's position was in on the North's position after Juneteenth. Whoever wasn't probably still wasn't on the side of the North and the Union after Juneteenth, right? And I think that's why we still experience racism. We still have those ideals from people that are going to always negate what you think, right? We're always going to be in opposition to maybe what is law. And that is just, the facts of life. And I think why this is important is because we want to celebrate. People can say Happy Freedom Day. You can say Happy Juneteenth. Whatever. But acknowledging it, I think, is important because, this was a mark in history and a line in the sand, right? That we're not going backward. And it's slow moving, right? This eradication of active racism across the board, all races, cultures, shapes, sizes. There's always going to be prejudice, right? And I think the ultimate strive for anyone is freedom, right? We strive toward freedom, however that feels, in whatever way. And when we resist feeling free, even to the point of wallowing too much in the fact that it took that long, 1862 to 1865, or just at all, to eradicate slavery, when we wallow too much in that, then we're resisting the free flow of freedom. And as soon as we can get on board with freedom, the sooner we're free, right? The sooner, just like when we write up our gratitude log and we write out things that we are grateful for, we're moving up the ladder toward freedom. Freedom in thought, freedom in life, freedom in expression, all of those things. So that is, I think, really the takeaway here. It's like, walk in your freedom in every way that you feel free. Walk in that, and you will begin to feel more free. And slowly but surely, the tides that, the powers that be, the tides all kind of come in line. And I did want to say some fun facts about Juneteenth that I found online. It's the oldest known holiday that commemorates the end of slavery in the United States. Juneteenth is the title of a book by author Ralph Ellison. Other books by Carolyn Mayer and Anne Rinaldi also center around this day. Some cities have Miss Juneteenth contests. Strawberry soda pop was once a popular drink associated with celebrating the day. I didn't see why, but that is maybe summer, spring kind of fruit. And then there is a Juneteenth flag of freedom. It's half red, half blue with a star in the middle. Each year, a Juneteenth flag is raised and a ceremony is held in Galveston. So huge come around, right? Huge come around to acknowledge that. So happy Juneteenth, everyone. Happy Freedom Day. Okay, let's get into it. Should I start with Meredith's question? What books are you reading right now and what do you recommend? I've got a couple books actually right here that I particularly love, and they just so happen to be parenting books. Parenting with Presence and The Awakened Family, Shefali Sabari, and this is Parenting with Presence by Susan Stiffelman. I really love this one, especially. I mean, they're both amazing. They both are along the same lines of parenting with presence, parenting with by acknowledging that really our reaction to our kids is what's teaching them. And I'm going to go ahead and get on a tangent because I do recommend those two books. Thanks for that question, Meredith. I actually am reading a lot of other books, but I'm going to pull those up. Money and the Law of Attraction is also one on my Libby app that I'm reading. Let's see. Hopefully this doesn't play. Scott Galloway, The Algebra of Wealth. Also starting out to be a good book, but I just barely started that one. This is a really good one. Raising Cain. These are all recommendations. Raising Cain. I'm holding it like this because it won't stay that big. Protecting the Emotional Life of Boys. I've got 2 boys. And this one, David R. Hawkins, one of my favorite authors. Success is for You. And this is all just informing my work, what I do here, especially on YouTube. But it's also for me, right? I'm always in development. Aren't we always? I think that's why, 1, we read for entertainment, but 2, we read for developing ourselves and learning and growing. And we always want to be in the know of something, right? Always want to be advancing. So going back to the parenting books, The Awaken Family and Parenting with Presence, those ones I especially recommend. I have read a lot of good parenting books along the way. Like another good one is Good Inside by Dr. Becky Kennedy. And she writes about just kind of how to approach a kid, and absolutely they are good inside. And that's really, I see you. They are good inside. And so these kinds of books are so important for parents to recognize their reactivity when parenting their kids. So we come with our own baggage. We think some kind of way about our own upbringing. We come with all these ideals and we try to transfer them right to our kids. We try to transfer them. Hopefully they take this on. But a lot of our outbursts, a lot of our reactivity is our inconvenience, how we're inconvenienced. And we want to recognize that we need to pause and see that this kid does not have your years of life behind them. They do not know half as much as you know. They know a fraction, if that, especially littles. That if you've not shown them, sat with them, and helped them understand that this is what you did, this is what I understand from that. What did you actually, first asking with curious questions, right? Hey, what happened? Why did you do that? Why do you think you do that? How do you feel? That kind of thing. And we're immediately putting our spin on it, our take on it, without giving them time to process. That's not parenting. That's forcing. And I don't want to use the B word, but it tends to feel that way for somebody on the receiving end of that type of behavior. So there's this like coming to terms with our own baggage, our own triggers, and our own inconveniences, right? If they're being loud when we need it to be quiet, then we're yelling at them to be quiet. How is that modeling the behavior we want to see in them, right? It's not. So we've got to always remember they're watching us, and they do as we do, not do as we say, because hearing and processing is a slower go than seeing and copying. That is an easier thing to do. They're always wanting to copy. It's something instinctual. It's almost like, because we've imprinted on them as parents, it's instinctual, right? Like almost like a dance, right? They're gonna copy what we do because that's just the way they learn. And so, as best as you can, pause and model the behavior you want to see before you think that words that you say in some type of, punishment and some type of, what do you call it when you are sitting kids down and talking to them. I remember being sat down, and because I stayed out past my curfew and I didn't tell my parents where I was going, sitting me down and talking to me about how disappointed they were, and I was so scared, and I didn't want to disappoint my parents, 16 years old, and well, I didn't want to be caught. I guess that's more of it. But all that to say, I don't know what is that? They're sitting you down and talking to you. It's like, don't lecture, don't just lecture, right? That's secondary. We always need to be seeing the behavior in order to model the behavior. We need to see it in order to do it. And then we can kind of recognize the words around it and how somebody might tell us to do that thing. But if we weren't shown that thing, being told that thing is irrelevant. So as much as you can, model the behavior and recognize that you might get frustrated with your kid and they're just doing what you do. And that is probably my biggest pet peeve with parents, is that the hypocrisy. It's like, do you realize that you taught your kid that just because you do this? When that happens to you, you do that exact thing. So if they're tantruming, maybe they saw you tantrum in your own way. Maybe they never saw you pause when you were frustrated and take a big breath in and take a big breath out. They never saw you do that. What if? So then are they going to be altogether convinced that they should also pause and take a deep breath? Probably not. They might not think that, oh, let me pause and take a deep breath when I'm feeling really frustrated. I'm just going to rage and hit my brother and whatever. It's like, okay, well, I got to recognize, wow, how am I not pausing before I get really frustrated? Or whoever else in his life is not pausing and giving them that type of example, right? It's not always the parents. Granted, it's not always the parents. It's the extended family, it's the grandparents, it's the cousins, it's the aunties, uncles, it's the teachers. How are all those people who are influencing this little life, how are they reacting? How are they responding to a situation? And even TV, right? If we're having our kids babysat by TV, then of course we've got to recognize the influences with all that. And as much as it is to undo some of that learning that they saw in that show, we've got to take the time to do that, or turn the TV off, turn the TV off, turn the TV off. Thank you, Kendrick. I mean, for real, right? Turn the TV off. And let's talk about TV. I think there are some good shows, but I'm also recognizing the innuendo on these shows, either in relationships, how people are treating each other, sexuality, how people react to the oohs and the ahs, coupling, right? What's that looking like? Bullying, what's that look like? And what are they? We don't know unless we're pausing the show and asking our kids, hey, what did you take from that? What did that? I know for my sons, they'll always be like, that was not nice, and they're telling on the character who was not nice. Let's take it a step further. It wasn't nice. So let me pause it and let's talk about that, because on whatever side they're resonating with, the not nice kid or the one getting hurt by the not nice kid, what are they? Who are they resonating with? Just because somebody points out that, oh, that wasn't nice, doesn't mean they recognize which side they should be on. So we've got to come in and help them make sense of those things on their own. Hopefully they're good, innocent people. They are good, innocent beings, impressionable beings. And so when we help them just flesh out some of their ideas and process those ideas, then they don't need to process them later because they've spent time working with mommy and daddy to process them in a safe environment, a safe, patient place. And that requires a lot of patience on our part to give them that safe space. And as much as we can, let's give our kids that safe space. That's my take on TV. I think we advance our kids because we are playing some of the Disney stuff that's a little bit more advanced for their age group. We're in PG and they're only 3 years old. They should still be at G. They should be at G, and even G isn't all that good, especially some of the older Disney. Recognize what you're playing for your kids and the influences that you're allowing them to have on subjects you haven't even broached the topic of with your kids. You haven't even entered that subject with them. You're going to let a TV show teach your kids about that? So just slow down on the introduction of certain topics. And I know it comes into play, especially with grandparents or babysitters, if the TV's on. If it's a non-paid babysitter, most likely the TV might be on. For me, if it's a paid babysitter, no TV is on. You're playing with my kid. Thank you. But, it's a lot of monitoring. Maybe it feels like a little bit, I'm a helicopter parent, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay because I don't care about the label that anyone wants to place on me as long as I am in good communication with my kids, I am in good understanding, good relationship, and I am their safe place. I want to be that for my kids, and I don't care what you call me. What I want to invite parents to be is the safe space for their kids. I want them to hold space for their kids to process, because if kids are busy at school, they're coming home, busy, the TV's on, it's loud. When are they processing? When's the downtime? When is the quiet time for the brain to process some of the things that were said at school or some of the things they saw on TV? When is that time? Some of the things they saw mommy and daddy do. What are the things that they're seeing? When is that space to speak up about it and ask questions about it if you're not providing that space for them to do so? And it's not always going to happen at dinner time. A lot of times that kind of environment, if it's the what we see depicted, sitting at the dinner table and talking, sometimes it's awkward, it's too quiet, people are not wanting to speak up because there's too many opinions that could be thrown at them if they were to speak up about this thing. That's why I think family meetings are really, really important. And actually, once my son turned 5, my goal is to have family meetings. And even though the little one probably won't really know what's going on, my oldest is ready. He's ready to sit down. We can have family meetings. We can discuss the week. We can talk about highs and lows. We can have a safe place to talk and not be judged, and to plan our next outing together. What do we like? What's one thing we did fun that you really enjoyed and you would like to do again? Let's do those things again. It's not just one-off things, going to some amusement park. Let's do those things again. It's not like we've got to find everything new. Sometimes repeat situations are better teachers. It's like, oh, I was here before, now I'm here again, and I kind of get to see things a little bit differently. And they don't just live in my mind as some, like, I can't really put my finger on what happened. If I go again, then I can, right? I can kind of see, oh man, I remember that, and now I'm seeing it again. And okay, there's meaning starting to form, and patterns starting to form, new understanding starting to form. I'm thinking Disneyland in my head. It's like my boys went once, we should go again, experience it again now that they're a little bit older. And what's that going to be like? And we should go to a restaurant they loved again. Let's try whatever, meal, the same meal or a different meal. I feel like, yeah, I'm being petty with some of these things, but this is how petty we need to be. This is how trivial and into the weeds, into the minutia of helping them develop at their pace. We get to be as parents. Yeah. So that's my take on kind of what when I read these kinds of books, that's what's resonating with me, the patience, the presence, the being present as much as you can when you have them. And, also giving them time on their own, time to figure it out on their own, get frustrated on their own. And I'm not always available to help, bail you out of some frustrating project you're working on. Sometimes what I can say that's encouraging is, I believe in you. I know you got this. What do you think you should do next? As I'm, making something on the stove, I can't really be as involved, but I can maybe walk them through something, but pause and let them go at it. Let them figure out what it means to move through frustration, breathe through it, try again. Hey, let's try again. A rule in our house is to try something once, especially food, right? We do a try it bite. Make sure you're giving yourself the opportunity to see if you could like it, not just from the looks of it, not just from the smell of it. Try it. See how it makes you feel. If it doesn't hurt your stomach, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe vegetables aren't so bad, right? So I don't know. Parenting is a big job. Something Dr. Becky says is that we've got to treat our role as serious as we would a job that we're being paid for, like a managerial role, a CEO role, like a big job. We've got to treat it as seriously as that. A trade where we've specialized in and we've studied and we've taken the time to get good at, proficient at. That's how we want to treat parenting, in my opinion. That's what she says. I agree. Also my opinion. Okay, did we nail that one, Meredith? I hope so. Let's see. And I would say, to just finish her question, do I recommend the books? Yes, I recommend them. And yeah, I do recommend them. Darcy's question is, do you believe in soulmates? So this is a heavy unpacking, I think, because I do believe in soulmates. I believe that we have many soulmates. I believe that anybody who we encounter in life, that we feel some kind of spark, some type of movement in our soul, is meant to partner with us for some length of our journey and help us discover how to get more clear, how to leave our baggage behind. They're going to represent our trigger and therefore our freedom. They're going to represent what love looks like and therefore our freedom. They're going to represent what our frustration, our anger, what it feels to have an enemy. They're going to reflect that and therefore our freedom. See how every relationship offers some type of friction, no matter how good it is, because we'll eventually come to some disagreement, some place where it's the battle of the wills. It's like, I believe this way, you believe that way. We can agree to disagree, move along. We can discuss it, come to an understanding. That's why marriage is just full of opportunity to work through some of these frustrating points, some of these sticky points within our belief system. And so our relationships are like full of opportunities to come to understand our belief system, our patterns, our triggers. And the soulmate is kind of like the person we're pairing up to work through this with. And it might mean that we need to forgive, learn to forgive, the act of forgiveness, so that we feel freer, that we lighten our load, that we declutter our mess, and we get out of our own way. It's not to teach us to stay stuck in revenge, resentment, unforgiveness. That's not ever the lesson. The lesson is always, how will you move through the feeling? And it's never about the other person. It's always about you. Your soulmate is just a reflection of you. When you can have a soulmate in relationships, like intimate relationships. You can have a soulmate in friend relationships. You can have a soulmate in business partnership, in building something together from nothing. You can have relationships at work, where it's just kind of this employee. We are working through being employees, doing our job, getting paid, and moving in life. We have best friends, right? Also soulmates. So however we're moved to move through something with this person, that is what a soulmate is, in my opinion. It's going to feel like the hardest path or the easiest path. It's going to feel like the most loving path or the most frustrating path. It's going to feel like it's going to be either or, and they're both soulmates. Soulmates aren't necessarily going to be who make you feel good, but you can feel good with them. That is, you can come to a feel good place with your soulmate. And if you use the situation, the relationship with your soulmate for what it's there, what's being presented to you as opportunity to move through your clutter, your mess, then you are using the opportunity for good. You are using the opportunity to climb the ladder toward feeling better, right? Feeling better than angry, feeling better than resentful, feeling better than stuck in unforgiveness, feeling better than feeling stuck in lack, scarcity mindset. And even the people that you model, or the Joneses, those are also, there's some celebrity, we'll just call a celebrity, reality star, whatever, who the Joneses in your life is, the person on the other side of the fence, grass is greener, whatever that person is. Even if you don't have a relationship, that's a soulmate. That is a soulmate, because they've rubbed up against your soul and they've shown you the possibilities. They've shown you the possibilities. They've shown you contrast. They've shown you polarity, disparity, the distance between where you are now, where you'd like to be, and see how it has nothing to do with them. And the more we focus on that person as the cause of the problem, the more stuck we stay. If we instead recognize our soulmate, recognize this person or this situation or the opportunity, anything, no person, no thing, no one can keep you stuck. You are who keeps you stuck. What you can do is recognize, okay, I feel myself getting triggered by this person. How can I move through it? What can I decide is the truth about who I am, what I am of this world, in this world? This is happening for me, not to me. This is happening for me, and I get to find my way through it. And how will I find my way through it? Obviously, if we're moving up the ladder toward feeling good, toward love, toward kindness, toward peace, toward abundance, toward that divine place of enlightenment, of clarity, then we've got to move through the mess, right? We've got to move through the clutter. We've got to move through all the unpleasant thoughts and feelings that are keeping us stuck in anything otherwise. There nothing but good flows. Nothing but good flows. Nothing. There's Esther Hicks actually in her book, The Money and the Law of Attraction, talks about the law of attraction, that in this world, there's only the law of inclusion. There's nothing saying no to you. The universe is always saying yes to you. So if you are saying, if you're putting your attention on resentment, if you're putting your attention on lack, if you're putting your attention on a bad marriage, divorce, financial struggle, I'm trying to think of infidelity, if you're putting your attention on not trusting, not cheating, finding every opportunity to find someone else, what's out there, what that is, you focusing on everything else but yourself. You're not bringing the attention inward and saying to yourself, okay, this is my pattern. This is my opportunity to break some of this karmic cycle that I keep showing up into this world with. So that is what soulmate is. We're going to meet soulmates any time of our lives, all throughout our lives. And we, however we choose to partner with them and form contracts with them or not, they still represent an opportunity to grow. They still represent an opportunity to move through disempowerment, unforgiveness, hatred, revenge, all those ugly feelings that keep us stuck, and thinking that the problem is beyond us and not within us to fix, not within us, not within our power to I want to say move through. I know I keep saying it, not within our power to move beyond, right? I love the quote when people say, don't be in the problem, be bigger than your problems. Don't be in the problem, be bigger. It's like we've got to stand back and recognize that it's not about the problem. It's about your reaction to the problem. It's about your response to the problem. It's about your perception of it as a problem. It's about your attitude toward the problem. It's about what you believe is a problem. Then when we see that, well, why is it a problem? Then I get to get curious and I get to parent myself. Why is this a problem for me? What do I believe so much so that this is bothering me? This is triggering me. This person is doing this thing because what they are, this soulmate, is reflecting back to us parts of ourselves that we don't want to deal with. The ego doesn't want to see. It's a part of your personality the ego doesn't want to mess with, because it just feels tricky. It feels sticky. I don't know how to move through it. And every single time I try to, I don't know how. And it's an unsettling feeling in my spirit. I don't want to do it. I don't want to, so that I'm just going to keep blaming the other person and saying, you're the problem, and pointing fingers and saying, why are you like this? Because I can't feel good about myself because you're not predictable in how you are in making me feel good. Well, see how it's not about them. You make yourself feel good. Nobody is here to make you feel good. Everyone is here just as a mirror to reflect back to you the opportunity you have to continue to find the better feeling thought, feeling better about yourself, about life. You have within your power to see a sunny day on a cloudy morning. You have the power to find ways, find the means to move through the clutter. You have the power to make a way when there is no way. You have the power to befriend everybody, to love everybody. You have the power to recognize when somebody is triggering you toward fear, toward debt, toward divorce, toward death, right? Just wanting to escape. That is your opportunity to find a way through. So that's all a soulmate is. Just they are here for you. And as much as we can learn to love them is in direct proportion the advancement of our soul in this lifetime, is the advancement of our joy, is the advancement of us toward abundance. It's like it just represents, a soulmate represents our ability to use the opportunities, and mostly in relationships, because they represent the friction and therefore the traction to climb the ladder toward peace, toward clarity, toward love. And I just welcome you to use those situations. And as much as you can love anybody who triggers that in you, who represents that in you, who reflects back to you parts of yourself that feel like, oh, I don't want to deal with this right now. I always get into these situations where I feel like, and this is cyclical too. I mean, we're going to always feel, especially for women, but I think for everybody, men as well, but especially for the feminine, there's these cyclical ways that we kind of have these down days in the month. In kind of a 28 to 30 day cycle, we kind of got these down days, and then we've got these very high days, and then we've got some days, and then we've got some very engaged days, and let's go work out and exercise and sweat days, and then there's the days where that's not always going to feel that, but those are the opportunities. How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel on even those days, on even the down days? How do you ultimately want to feel? Maybe I just want to feel rested. I just want to sleep longer. I want to take it easier with myself. I want to give myself a break. I want to give myself the benefit of the doubt. I want to stop telling myself that I'm a bad person because I have these days where I just don't feel like doing anything. I want to tell myself I'm not lazy. I'm just resting. I want to tell myself I'm powerful, not stupid. I want to tell myself I'm loving, not unlovable. And so here's the opportunity. Everyone and everything is just presenting an opportunity for you to move through the crap that you continue to tell yourself that keeps you stuck. I feel like I hit our time. And so did I answer your question, Darcy? Do you believe in soulmates? Yes, I do. I do. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. However you choose to partner with them in this life, I hope that you choose to partner with them as your way through toward a better feeling thought, a better feeling life, because life is good. Life is good. I know. I say that because life is good. Today I'm having a good day. Not every day is roses and butterflies and rainbows. But this is the work. This is the work, and you can do it. All right. So I'll see you next Thursday, 12 noon Pacific, for our Clarity Hotline. You could submit your questions on clarityhotline.com. Thank you to everyone who submitted a question. I'm working my way through them. And to all those who are hesitant, you can submit anonymously. But, I encourage, if you don't want me to say your name, you can submit, and it's always confidential. And just say, treat this anonymously. I don't want my name said online. That is perfectly fine. But check me out on Instagram, YouTube. My channel on YouTube is all about stuff about meaningful productivity, motherhood, mindset, more of this kind of stuff. And our video this week drops tomorrow. And I'll see you next week on the Clarity Hotline, Thursday, 12 noon Pacific. Peace. All right, YouTube. See you next week.